What's the better way to invest in property? Is it a REIT, like a real estate investment trust, or is it buying property yourself? So when you're purchasing property yourself, you choose the property, the location, the value of that property, the type of tenants that are going to be there, the income you're going to collect, who's going to manage it. You're in control of all of those things. When you invest in a REIT, a real estate investment trust, essentially what you're doing is you're buying into a company that's buying property, an investment company, and you have a share of that particular business. But you have no control in terms of how they run that property, what type of tenants they're going to have in there, where they're going to purchase those properties. So you're relying on their expertise, and often it means that you're putting small amounts of money in, and it can reduce your risk. So it can be and the property market sometimes can be a little bit volatile, where there's peaks and troughs. But overall, what in property we find there's an upward trend. That's why we get involved in property. We feel in 10, 20, 30, 40 years time, each of those points, the market's probably going to be significantly higher than it is right now. And when we look at historic data, that's generally the trend as well. It's because we have that belief that we buy property and sometimes go through the pain of not making much money now because we know in the long term it will work well. But in a REIT, often it can be more balanced in the sense that you don't necessarily get the peaks and troughs that you get, and you get a good return, and it can be a fairly tax efficient way to invest. But personally, I'm always a big fan of being in control and choosing what it is you invest in. And a lot of this comes down to education, understanding how to invest, what to invest in, what's going to produce the best returns, and the level of work you're prepared to do. Versus giving that money to somebody else and let them make the decisions and then paying them a fee effectively for doing that and then being left with the rest that is distributed. So you can probably work out, I'm not a big fan of doing things in that way, because when you're in control of the property and you're choosing how much time and effort you're putting into. So for example, it could be you purchase a buy-to-let property, which means it may be a regular house, you rent it to a family, you collect a rental income each month there might be a little bit of maintenance and management to take into consideration, and that's pretty much it. You probably won't hear from the tenants very much as long as the property's in good order. They'll probably run quite well. And so that's about as passive as you're going to get, but your returns are probably not going to be substantial. They're going to be modest returns. And then let's say you wanted to increase the level of returns you're generating from that property. It may be you turn it into, say, a HMO, so that same house now has 5 people living in it and you're renting the rooms individually, maybe to say to students. So you've got 5 lots of students paying you 5 lots of rent rather than one family paying you rent. And you may have some bills to pay, maybe you push the bills onto the tenants. Either way, the overall net income that you receive will be higher than if you'd given it to a family. But you've probably got more work involved, there's more management, there's more effort, there's more running around, there's more maintenance that you have to do, there's more wear and tear. Yes, there's all those things. And then it may be that you're thinking, actually, is there a way to earn even more money? So as you think about it in this way, there's strategies that you can move up to that start creating more and more income, but often require more work. So for example, it could be that you run that business as a short stay business, like an Airbnb type model, where people are coming into that house, they're staying there for 3 or 4 days or a week at a time, and they're paying a much higher figure than ordinarily you would get as a rent, which is, say, spread over 6 months. When you work that amount out that they're paying you for that week or 2 weeks that they're staying there, and let's say you multiply that for the period of 6 months, that'll be significantly higher than it would have been as one family staying in that property for that period of time. But again, there's more effort involved, there's more running around from your part, there's more systems, processes, more moving parts. So the more you're willing to get involved in, the more control that you have, the more understanding, the more knowledge, the more experience you have, the more money you will make in property. And if you're able to commit to learning and improving your skills and applying those skills, you'll always make more money doing that than you will do handing it to somebody else, like in a REIT, and letting them run it for you and produce the returns for you. Hey, if you're enjoying these short videos that we're doing called Saj Dailies, then make sure you also check out our longer form content that we have on the channel. There's probably about 300 videos that are on the channel that we've uploaded over the last few years, and there's a lot more content uploaded regularly. And if you're enjoying it, then make sure you click on that like button. Also subscribe to the channel, but more importantly, leave me a comment. Let me know what it is about these videos you're particularly enjoying and particularly liking. Then once you've done that, make sure you click on this video, and I'll see you over here next.